Open it up to Leihua Crabbe, who will start off today's webinar with an ʻŌiwi.
Okay. Is it okay? I'll just start. E ke akua he pule ia e holo e ani ka pō ina o ka aina a me ka palia e pau ko ka aina haumi ia. He pule ia e ho'o pau ana i nā hewo ka aina a pau. I pau ke a e me ke ka wau. I pau ke kulo pia me ka pālalu. I pau ka huli a lana a laila. Ni ho peku. Ho emu, hui kala, malau pākai. Ka maoli ho I ke akua e.
Mahalo, Leihua. All right, why don't we get started, and we'll go ahead and I'll turn it over to ʻAtalina Pasi, who will be moderating today.
Mahalo, Lisa, and Leihua, mahalo for that beautiful ʻŌiwi to start us off. Velina mai me ke aloha from your various spaces, whether you're zooming in from home, work, school, or on the go. My name is ʻAtalina Pasi, and I will be your host for today's webinar. I'm the Population Health Specialist in Chronic Disease for Papaʻola Lokahi. This webinar is entitled CHW, or Community Health Workers' Impacts on Native Hawaiian Health, Part 2. We are blessed to have on our panel today 3 mana wahine from all over the state of Hawaii. Our first panelist is Leihua Crabbe, who hails from Mo'ili'ili, went to Marino Grade School, graduated from Kamehameha, received her bachelor's from UH, is real estate certified, and a massage therapist. Leihua speaks Hawaiian and French. In her downtime, she loves to plant native Hawaiian plants. She loves la'au lapa'au. She designs patterns for kapa. She's a dessert concierge. And her mentor, she mentors 2 teenagers in kapa who are from Waiahuli Homestead. She has 1 daughter and 2 sons, and she has randomly fell in love with the job of being a CHW. She loves being a healthcare worker because she is good at it, and she wished she could do more for our Native Hawaiian people. Second on our panel, we have Laura Torres, who is a community health worker for Keola Mamo's Waianae Coast office. Before being employed by Keola Mamo, she was an advocate facilitator for a domestic violence program, which she still is doing part-time. Laura's work in Waianae community ranges from assisting with DHS, MedQuest, and other applications, as well as connecting and or referring her community members to community agencies. She serves on a few community planning committees, as well as advisory board groups in the Waianae community. During Laura's spare time, she loves to spend it with her mo'opunas, family members, and close friends. Laura is also a trainer for the American Red Cross and has been certifying members in her community for over 20 years. Our final panelist is Kaʻapuni Kama, who is the Director of Operations at Kula Nona Po'e, Hawaii o Papakolea Kewalo Kalavahine. Born and raised in Papakolea, Kaʻapuni was surrounded by community work and civic engagement, as her mother, Puni Kekau'oha, led their homestead association and community organizations. Seeing this work in action gave Kaʻapuni a passion to continue her mother's legacy and serve the treasured communities that raised her. Kaʻapuni joined Kula in 2006 and worked in their after-school programs, data system, and most recently as lead on Kula's COVID-19 pandemic response as a community health worker. She understands the value that CHWs bring to communities in need and the work they accomplish. In her new role as director, she looks forward to continuing support for Kula CHWs and also expanding CHW opportunities to other Hawaiian homesteads. So without further ado, let's go ahead and begin with our first panelist, Leihua Crabbe. Mahalo. Leihua.
You need help with the slides? You're muted. We can't hear you. We can move on to the next speaker if you want.
We will start with Laura. Laura, if you're ready.
You have my slides, ʻAtalina.
Yeah, I got them right here.
Awesome. Okay,
You're
because
ready.
I don't know how to do that kind of stuff.
We got you, Auntie Laura. Here we go.
Just tell me
I
when
have to make
move.
my own PowerPoint, you know.
Just tell me when to move to the next slide, okay?
I don't see my slide. How come?
Right there, hold on.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm actually been with Keola Mambo for 8 years now. And as Keola Mambo during COVID, when COVID first started, we actually worked in all our communities, yeah? So next slide, please. So when COVID first started, we were like, how can we help our people? How can we help our community members? You know, the mask was going like crazy and stuff. So we had staff that actually made masks, and then we went out and distributed to our communities. For us on the west side, we actually helped out Pu'uhanua o Waianae and Cedar Farms, which are homeless or houseless encampments with masks, as well as a lot of the small kitchens that was prepping our keiki food, you know, the breakfast and lunch. We gave them as well masks and dental offices out here in Waianae. So this is one of our clients here that came and picked up some masks from me. Next slide. We did collaborate with Hope Chapel West Side with food distribution. So we did a few food distribution in Kapolei with Hope Chapel West, as well as in Kunia. Next slide. In Waianae, we have our big health center, which is Waianae Comprehensive. So during COVID, they actually started up again their kupuna food boxes. So I went out as a chow here in the community and assisted our kupunas with signing up for the food boxes because they had to get their applications and it had to be delivered, hand delivered. So we couldn't do it via, you know, how you do the fancy signature on the computer. We had to have them sign it and then hand deliver it. So we did a lot of that during that time, and the kapuna food boxes was given from Waianae Comprehensive once a month. Next slide, please. We also did a lot of outreach in affordable housing units. Because of COVID, as you can see here, we had our masks and our gloves, and we gave, what is this called? Like help bags or necessity bags, you know, had hand sanitizers inside, notepads. And we did this for a few housing units. As well as during this time, we started to do health education classes virtually. So we did kapuna exercise. We had keiki dental, infant massage. So some of us did this one-on-one with clients or with community agencies such as HCAP, In Peace, out here on the west side. We had our very first virtual baby shower today. Yay! It was awesome. It was so awesome. We had, I believe, maybe over 35 participants. So, so proud of us, Ke'olamamo people. Thanks. Thank you very much. Next slide, please. Did a lot of collaborations with COVID pods, yeah, with Papaolo Lakahi, NHPI, and other agencies. So I as being a Chow in Waianae, or all of our Ke'olamamo staffs, actually, we went out into other communities, Wahiwa, Waipahu, Waialua, and we volunteered or assisted with the COVID pods, and made a lot of friends that way too with our other sponsors. Yeah. Next slide. So this, the slide before. Here we go. So we actually had our own, Ke'olamamo had our own food distribution. So we had several food distributions out at our main office, which is in Dole now. And city and county was very helpful with volunteering services for us. We had a lot of city and county, the youth program. So the staff as well as the youth came out to assist us with that. We also had a food distribution health event out in Kapolei, which was a drive-through, and then people could park and walk through. We had like Aloha Care, DOE was there, who came out to serve our community as well. For Waianae, we had our very first mini. It was a very mini because our office out here in Waianae is not that big, but a mini health fair and food distribution. Along with that, our Kauka Lum came out, our Dr. Lum came out, and they did vitals. She gave flu shots, as well as our behavioral health specialist, Terry. She was out here, and, you know, because of COVID, Terry actually was pretty busy, you know, with a lot of our clients coming in and wanting to speak to her just to, you know, let things out, air it out. So our mini health fair out in Waianae was very successful in that matter. Next slide, please. So out here in Waianae, I have helped with grab and go meals for the keiki as well as the kupuna. I've delivered to them during this time. But Waianae Comprehensive, they had this big food distribution once a month, and they served over 1,500 to 2,000 ohana. And I went out and helped out with them with that. So there was a lot of collaboration in that part at the food distribution with Waianae Comprehensive. Next slide. So this is our Keiki Fest. Waianae every year have Keiki Fest, and I actually serve on the panel, not the panel, I serve on the planning committee with this. This was our very first drive-through Keiki Fest, and we had, I believe, was over 300 keiki and maybe about 225 ohana that drove through. So it was a very successful Keiki Fest for us. We gave out makana bags, and in the bag we had stuff like toilet paper, hand sanitizer, things that people needed at that time. And it was so awesome because in the survey they shared that they really appreciated getting the toilet paper because, you know, at the time people was worried about toilet paper running out. So that was our Keiki Fest out here in Waianae. And then the next slide. And of course, we are doing our screening. So every staff that comes into the office gets a temperature check, as well as have to put their name down, staff, clients, and then we do the short survey, just in case we need to do contact tracing. And that's it for me here in Waianae and Keolamamo. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Laura. If anybody knows Waianae and all of the events that they have, human services events, food distributions, our CHW here, Laura, she's always there and you can spot her out because she has long, beautiful hair. You can't recognize her because she has a mask covering her beautiful face, but you can tell because of her long, beautiful hair. Like to mahalo, Laura, for all your hard work and being out there during the pandemic and serving our Native Hawaiian communities. While Lisa is helping to get Leihua slides ready, we're just gonna look into the Q&A if there are any questions for Laura while we set up for the next presentation. Laura, you mentioned, oh, here we go. We are ready. Mahalo, Laura, we'll save all of our questions for the end. Go ahead, Leihua.
Hi, aloha everyone. Yeah, so this is Hui no Keola Pono, and I am also a healthcare worker. I'm also a CNA, and we wear different hats over here like everyone else who's a community worker. I think Kaʻapuni and Laura know that very well. We wear several hats, right? Yeah, so so this is our staff. We have Auntie Aloha in the bottom left in red. Auntie Aloha has been with us for 25 plus years. And then there's the healthcare worker department with Carly and Jill. And then we also have Allison Doherty, who helps with exercise and wellness. We have a gym, a small gym, not a big one, but it's an awesome one because Allison helps with a lot of she's a lot of the kupuna and even people in their children and people in their 20s and 30s, where she's helped them correct some things with their body, yeah, or else if they had other things that they had problems with, Allison will help with those things. At the top, we have our entire staff. At one time, everybody at Hui no Keola Pono actually became healthcare workers because everybody had to shift. I'm sure you folks you guys found that to happen, yeah? Everybody became a healthcare worker or a community outreach person. Yeah, so it took a like every one of us, we were just so bonded in like what we had to do, that as a community, not just with outside the community, but within our own community at work. Yeah. And then we have the these are the different things that we had to do and questions that we had, starting from March 25th, 2020. I don't know if you guys remember that day, but we were just like, oh, so what does this mean? But we are already in action already, but we're asking that question. Yeah. So there was a lot of things we had to figure out, which we had already started like the couple of days prior to that actually happening. Yep. Plus we had to shut down the offices, but yet we had to call a lot of our kupuna, because I don't know about your clinics, but we have a lot of kupuna here on Maui that really depend on the hui and stuff, as well as for food. Yeah. So, and then speaking about food, just like you guys, Laura, out in Waianae, we had a lot to do with produce boxes, taking out kaukau or meals to the kupuna and other families that just were in somewhere really asked for help. Yeah. And it's kind of hard for kupuna to ask for help, because they kind of they're very humble people and they don't want to ask for help. But that's what, you know, this is one of the times we told them, hey, if you need help, this is the time to do it, because they're very giving people themselves. We also did backpacks for one of the food drives. If you see in the bottom, we have the olelo no iau ka ike akamakua he na keiki. So along with that, the grocery boxes, we gave backpacks, yeah, for the keiki and stuff. And these are all the things that we did, besides community needs assessments and addressing the food insecurities, contactless enabling services and support, staying connected just like you guys, yeah, and stress management. And one of the biggest things we also did was talk to each other about how we take care of each other and ourselves. So that was very important, yeah. And then just pictures of our, this is kind of like the very beginning where we did produce boxes. We were doing produce boxes twice a month. And we also did we didn't just actually put it together and everything. We actually took it out and delivered it just like you folks. Yeah. And these are the numbers that for the deliveries of the boxes and how many people that we helped. Yeah. So mind you, even though the kupunas, some of them live alone, a lot of them were sharing their boxes with their family. Yeah. They had other kupuna that were surrounded by them, and they would share their boxes, and they would let us know like that. And then we had also families that were like big families. We're talking people who have 12 to 15 people in their families. And I kind of thought that didn't exist nowadays, but finding out through all of this, there's families that still have big families. Yeah. So, and then of course, these are just pictures of all of my co-workers. We have Sharon Maunopak, we have Joey Gonzalez, we have Jelaine, and I think that's Cinda, and Kaunoa and Dominique. They're going out to Waiahuli, which is up in Kula, Wai'ehuko, all the way. We have like Wai'ehuko 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we just constantly was on the move. Yeah, just like you guys, right? Yeah. And another thing that we started during the pandemic was aquaponics. So the aquaponics, we are on our 4th cohort. We've had 26 ohana systems made, and these are pictures of our aquaponics. So we partnered up with Ke Kula Nui o Waimanalo from Oahu, and that was with her name is Ilima Ho Lastimosa, and she came over to Maui to teach us how to do everything. And then with that, we were just trying to spread the word to families that they can do for themselves too if they did aquaponics. Yeah. So this is something that's very awesome. If you guys are ever connected, we can, her name is Ilima Ho Lastimosa from Waimanalo. And they themselves actually have a whole thing going on over there at Waimanalo if you guys want to check them out, because they're awesome too. Yeah. And then next. So we were also doing the raised grow beds, and we have 3 cohorts that we have completed, and altogether 75 grow beds and supplies. So with a lot of these raised grow beds and the aquaponics people, once they get started with their food supply that we taught them how to grow vegetables or trees or fruits, they in return, we have X amount of grocery boxes that are set aside for organic grocery boxes, and they donate what they grow, and we put it in the organic grocery boxes. Yeah. So like usually on Thursdays and Fridays, we have all these people who are growing things, and they clean them, they package them, and they bring it to us, and then we put it in the organic side of the grocery boxes. Yeah. And then another thing that we went into, it started at the end of December going into the beginning of 2021, is we started doing vaccine clinics, which is what we see here. We did vaccine clinics in the beginning twice a week, and we were trained by our nurse, Denise Carvalho. She's our head, our RN, as well as we have Shannon from Imiola Ho, from Dr. Haynes' office, and they oversaw and taught us how to do vaccinations and how to actually administer it into people's arms and stuff. So we've kind of done as much as we could. So now the Maoli Ola pharmacy next door has taken over many things, but we work with them, and some of our healthcare workers go over there also, like that. So now we have the drive-through walk-up, which is the rapid testing, is what Carly helps the Maoli Ola pharmacy with. Yeah. And yeah, and just and it's ongoing, so we're still doing it. As of yesterday, Carly was helping with the rapid testing and everything. So we don't see that this is going to stop for a while until everything really calms down on the island of Maui. And the thing with our rapid testing, we're getting people from actually different states and different countries that are coming in to do rapid testing, because they've been looking up on the site. So they've been coming to us at the Cameron Center. So we just refer them to the Maoli'ola pharmacy for the rapid testing, or if they need their vaccinations, which has been ongoing to every day there's somebody that needs their vaccination still. Okay, and this is Allison, which she likes to call the gym, the Mohalu Health and Wellness Exercise Center. And so that's Allison in the middle. And she actually goes out to houses for people who really can't make it because for whatever reason they have challenges, or else if it's like a husband and wife, or like an elderly or a young adult that takes care of their kupuna or their parents, their makua. So she goes out and she teaches them what they can do for themselves at home since they can't come into the Mohalu Center. Yeah. And then she also gives them advice of what, as well as literature. Yeah. And so this is the gym like that. It's a small gym. In this picture, it looks big, yeah, but it's actually kind of small. And it was supposed to start prior to the pandemic, but because of the pandemic, it wasn't even used last year. Yeah, not until the very ending and then the beginning of this year. Yeah. And then these are our community resources and handouts. If you guys, so when we did the grocery boxes, we had the Kanaha, there's a homeless camp, and there were other 501c3s that partnered with us to give us hygiene kits. Yeah. So the hygiene kits, the school supplies, the ma'i kits. I don't know if you guys had ma'i kits, but there was this thing about a lot of women that were not able to, yeah. So we gave them ma'i kits, okay? And then we have 50 social and emotional kits for the keiki, 0 to 5 years. It's called the COMMIT, which is the County of Maui Multi-Agency Impact Team. Yeah, which we committed, or we dedicated to help some of the families who had children that were dealing with challenges, yeah, for themselves. So the families didn't know where to turn to, and they didn't maybe have health insurance. So we helped with that. Then there's the emergency preparedness handbooks that we got from Hawaiian Electric. The emergency preparedness handbooks that we gave out, we put it inside the grocery boxes, as well as just like Wai'anae, we were making face masks. We brought in our sewing machines and had the patterns all set up, and we were sewing and everything. Yeah. So, and then basically that's it. Then we have 1,000 PPE supplies and equipment that was provided by Maui United Way. They're very, very good with working with us. They're an awesome, actually everybody became awesome at this time. Okay. And these are, this is our brochure that we have for several things. Yeah. These are our programs. I don't know like what you guys have, but we try to, we had to do a lot of switching and making things updated for Hui no Ke'olapono, because just because we had to change with the times, right? Just like you guys, yeah, Laura. We had to change with the times. And yeah, and this is it. This is, if you have, this is my contact if you guys need me. Yep. And these are all the people for those of you I didn't get a chance to mention. And there's also Kameme schools that came down, they volunteered to help us to reach those families that are not as you know, that didn't have as much like that. Okay. And that's it. Mahalo.
Mahalo Leihua for an amazing presentation.
Yeah.
I love the aquaponics and all of the kits that you guys have given to the community. That's just amazing. So if anybody has any questions for Leihua, please put it into the Q&A chat box. And we're gonna move on with Kaʻapuni from Kula.
Hello, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen real quick. Oh, Lisa, am I able to share? Sorry, I think it locked us after.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, there you are. Okay. Okay. All right, so. Hello, everyone. My name is Kaʻapuni Kama, and I work at Kulanona Poʻe, Hawaii. I'm going to try to get through this because we have a fun video at the end. But before I introduce myself, there's always two groups of people that I need to bring into space. And so I'm going to introduce them right now. They're called my Ys. And we'll go on next. My first group is why I am who I am. So my kupuna, my mommy, and her best friends, that's my Shiro crew. And then of course my husband, my hui, my peoples. Yeah, so much people have fed into the person that I am today. And so I always bring them into space with me and remind me that I'm a small picture, a small part of a bigger picture, yeah? And my next group, why I do what I do, very simple. These three humans right here, these are my babies. I have a 14-year-old who's a freshman, a 10-year-old who thinks she's a freshman, and then the 1-year-old who really runs the show around here. Yeah, we know how that works, guys. So I always bring them into space with me. They always ground me and let me end a good conversation. So this is my ohana, and mahalo to Papa Ola for creating this time and space for us to share our stories and connect. So when it comes to pandemic response, I am going to cheat a little bit, and our organization, Kula, has a video that will explain our journey a lot better than I will. So I'm going to just share that, and please put in chat if you guys can't hear it. The sound will come from me. So let me just put that on full screen, and then I will play and enjoy.
Kulanona Poʻe Hawaii is a community-based nonprofit serving the Hopokolea, Kewalo, and Kalawahine Hawaiian homesteads for almost 30 years. Created by Community Kupuna, Kula's mission is to provide education, health, and cultural programs and events to support and enhance the lives of homestead residents. Executive Director Dr. Adrian Dillard and Associate Director Puni Kekauoha lead a staff of 15 to provide services and resources that address the holistic needs of our community from keiki to kupuna. Out of 17, our staff, the Kula crew, includes 11 homestead residents, 5 social workers, 8 community health workers, and 2 kane. As we fondly say at Kula, we the women. When Governor Ige officially closed all schools and non-essential businesses in March of 2020, Kula made an intentional choice to enter the realm of pandemic response. This presented new challenges and community issues we've never addressed before. The 3 main concerns during the pandemic were food security, public health, and community safety. The first need we encountered was food security. This quickly became a priority as more families lost income and the stay-at-home orders went into effect. Beginning in April 2020, Malama Meals provided 100 lunches and 800 dinner plates daily. Soon after, other organizations and partners asked how they could provide continued and additional support. Kupuna and Kiki received hot lunches and meal sets prepared by Malama Meals, Unalila Homes, and Lanakila Meals on Wheels. Ultra staffing sponsored healthy grocery boxes and meal sets.
Chef Hui, Ham's Produce, and Y Fukunaga Products continue to provide these to Papakolea families through May 2021. Donna Kahakui, an avid paddler who was raised in Papakolea, returned to coordinate 2 food drives supported by the Oahu paddling community and Punahou School. All of these sponsors and organizations partnered with Kula to provide 80,023 meals and 14,780 food boxes and meal sets.
For me, it's a blessing to be able to stand among the younger people and work side by side. And people come down, you load their cars, and they say, thank you, God bless you. You know, that's all you need to hear. You know, it makes all worthwhile. I hope the members of the community get benefited by what programs Kula offered. Remember that. Pass that on to your children, your grandchildren.
We at Kula cannot express the full extent of our gratitude to the funders, partner organizations, businesses, and volunteers that fed our communities during this time. Their support and commitment to service kept our families and loved ones safe and healthy. Mahalo nui.
I stand amazed and ever so thankful to all of you for standing strong and being there when we needed you and when we needed each other.
We addressed the need for food, opportunities to protect and promote the health of community residents, especially kupuna, came forward. 3 COVID testings were held in partnership with Kalihi Kai Urgent Care and served 241 residents. Keola Mamo provided a flu shot clinic serving 68. When COVID vaccinations became available, Kula staff member Cappy Solatorio quickly brought vaccinations into the community. Through her efforts and multiple clinics with Kaiser Permanente, 354 people received 703 vaccine doses so far.
The pandemic also highlighted the importance of knowing and understanding our communities. In 2015, Kula conducted its first homestead health survey in Papakolea. The goal of this survey is to better understand the unique characteristics and issues related to the health and well-being of homesteaders. Since then, we have surveyed Kailapa and Napua Ka'ilima in 2017, Halemakana o Nanakuli in 2019, and Malu'ohai, Kaupea, Kanehili, and Ka'ulua Kaha'i in 2020. We are currently surveying Wai'anae. The findings of this survey are intended to guide homesteads in their future quests for resources and services that will benefit their community.
Kula leaders were invited to participate on the NHPI Hawaii COVID-19 Response Recovery and Resilience Committee and National COVID-19 Resilience Network with Morehouse School of Medicine. These discussions allow Kula to stay connected, informed, and provide input at the national and local levels.
As the pandemic continued, the impacts of COVID-19 heightened existing community safety concerns. One example of this was the increased number of homeless individuals staying within community. Even as some disagreed, Kula rallied to support these individuals because majority of them are from community families. Since January, we have assisted over 30 people with homeless services.
Papakolea and surrounding communities experienced a rising number of safety and security issues, such as people casing streets and homes, burglarizing property, stripping stolen cars, street fighting, and illegal game rooms. Kula launched a culturally tailored safety campaign, E Ho'omau Kako I Kamaluhia I Papakolea, to raise awareness about protecting our homes and loved ones.
Through one of the most difficult years of our time, Papakolea became kinder neighbors, greater friends, and a stronger community. It has been Kula's privilege to answer the call and lead the pandemic response for Papakolea, Kevalo, and Kalava Hiwi.
That's my Kula. A lot of people don't get mahalo. So
Hula no na po'e Hawaii strives to perpetuate the vision set forth by Prince Jonah Kuhio Kalaniana Ole. In honor of the 100th anniversary of the Hawaiian Homestead Act, our journey shows the strength and resilience of the Kanaka Hawaii. As we look towards a promising future, we thank our supporters and community for standing Papakolea strong. Me ke aloha, the Kula crew.
So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but yeah, so that's us and what we've been doing. And mahalo for this time and space. And yeah, back to you, ʻAtalina.
Mahalo Kaʻapuni for that beautiful video. It got me crying over here watching all of the hard work that you guys do in the midst of the pandemic, putting yourselves out there to help serve the vulnerable ohana, kupuna, and keiki in Papakolea. We are going to open this up for questions now. And I don't see any questions in the chat, so I want to encourage our audience to please, if you have any questions, drop it in the chat, and we're going to begin with this question that I have for Laura, Leihua, and Kaʻapuni. COVID has created a coming together of our communities to help one another. Can you share one of the most rewarding experiences you've had in the work you do as a CHW? And let's start off with Kaʻapuni.
Okay, rewarding as a CHW. So COVID's created a space in Papakolea, at least, where I think Leihua had talked about, like our kupuna, they're very humble. And so it's hard to accept help. And so kupuna and families do a lot of like, I'm okay, give to somebody else in need, right? That's the famous kupuna phrase of where I'm okay, baby, you know, and all these things. But COVID created a space where we all need, and there's no shame in needing. And so it's made our work easier because there's no wall, there's really less of a barrier, and it's okay to accept help because we're all in the same space together. And that's definitely been rewarding because we're serving families that for the past 10, 15 years have told us no every time something's come up. And we've kind of entered this space where now they're volunteering and they're engaging in ways that they've never had before. And so that's been really rewarding for me as a CHW is just being able to further connect and engage with my neighbors.
Mahalo Kaʻapuni, that's beautiful. I've witnessed it as well. The pandemic has softened hearts and it has helped people to accept help and allowed us to help to serve more within our communities. Let's ask Laura, if Laura would like to share.
I think for me, it's seeing how all the community agencies, as well as the members in our community coming together to volunteer. So in the West Side, we've been having a hard time getting people vaccinated. So we now have a lot of pods coming out and people are getting vaccinated now. They're not as hesitant as they were. And I think it's just reminding them that it is their choice, but as they see everybody collaboratively working together, I don't know, it's just amazing. It gives me chicken skin just to work with everyone, all the other agencies. And I think this past, we was actually out in Papakolea with Dr. Kaukalam giving the flu shots. And it just shows how we all get together and we're gonna all together get through this. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. Thanks.
Mahalo, Laura.
Yeah.
I know that there's been a lot of pushback on these vaccination clinics down Waianae side, and I just want to mahalo for keeping the aloha and being out there despite the opposition, and being there for the right reasons to get our Native Hawaiians and our Pacific Islanders and our vulnerable communities vaccinated and getting the numbers down. So I just want to mahalo, Laura, and we will go to Leihua.
Yeah, so one of the, well, there's so much to say during these kinds of times, very challenging. But one of the things that for me is memorable is how touching it was to see. It's not like you want to see them cry, but you know, like the kupuna, and we even had people who were young people. I guess they figured out that this is a mea nui. You know, some people go through life and nothing's a mea nui to them, but some of these young ones, they actually like bawling and crying, and then you have to come take them on the side and say, you know, it's okay, you know, just let it out. Because actually it's better that they let it out. It's actually more healing to cry and let it out than to keep it in and stress, and then you get, you know, stress leads to sometimes mental illnesses. Mental illness leads to people are stuck, and when they're stuck, that's where you have to try to find resources to help people even more. So that was one of the things that that is memorable, as well as that I learned, was to just let people let it out. And there are people, what was nice, if you show by example to the people, they in turn will turn around and show the aloha also, like that. And then, you know, usually, you know, we talked about this like maybe about last year during the summer, where usually, you know, we had people that we knew in the community that were just like Grinches, you know, like full on Grinches. They were just so like they're not really aloha kind of people, or very warm. And all of a sudden, because of them coming around, they started having that aloha, and they're even more so now, like they're beyond the aloha kind of, which is kind of nice to see that, you know, we touch their lives, they're touching other people's lives, and then they spreading the word to, you know, come here, that we really can help them, you know, because like some people have this idea that the Native Hawaiian clinics are quote unquote only for the people who really need it, or are challenged, or are financially not able to. But they're finding out the Native Hawaiian clinics are more than that. Yeah. And that we can really help. It's not just we can help them not just when they need the help, but we can just help them on an everyday basis to help them. So yeah, that's it.
Mahalo, Leihua. So I'm hearing an overarching theme, which is that aloha is the way that we serve and the way that we connect to our community members. We have a question in the chat from Auntie Adrienne. And Auntie Adrienne's question is, do you think there is a new role for CHWs on the ground in communities moving forward? So we'll start with Leihua.
It's definitely, I've thought about that too. So it's something that has to be given more credit than it has been in the past, because I do know from when I first came in to Hui no Kealapono, sometimes people looked like it wasn't like such a great job. And I came from a background of teaching, as well as I designed patterns with companies in Honolulu, but I landed up working as a healthcare worker, or CHW, by random chance, and I actually really liked it. But that's what I'm saying is people don't realize how important that being a CHW actually is. And I think the state as well as the county levels, and I do know that the federal levels are trying, in the mainland especially, or the continental US, are trying to do something more about the, if you want to quote and say, the title or the status of being a CHW or a healthcare worker. I think they should take more strides into giving credit to that title or that job. I do hope that, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Kaʻapuni?
So I didn't really understand what more we could do, because Agent Dillard, for people who don't know, is my boss. So she's double checking me, which she loves to do. So I don't know about a new role for CHWs on the ground. I mean, I think there's definitely, and COVID's created a time where there's a new push to get more people on the ground, right? I think the CHWs that we've been in here and we've been doing the work, there needs to be more of us. And I don't want to sign up for a new role necessarily, because I think CHW is so many things already. And that's just depending in what program or what projects and communities you're serving. So yeah, I don't know about new role, but I definitely think we need to expand our hui and recruit more of us, definitely.
Mahalo. Mahalo to all of our panelists, and we are about out of time. But we just want to mahalo all of the important work that you guys are doing, boots on the ground in your communities. And without you and your leadership, your skills, your cultural sensitivity, we could not have come this far. And we would like to ask everyone to please go out there, and if you have CHWs in your community, to mahalo them and let them know of the great work they are doing, because it is strenuous and it's hard work. And we'd like to close our webinar and say aloha, and everyone have a great weekend.
Mahalo very much to all of you. It was so inspiring. And I truly believe that you are our frontline workers as well. So when we honor our frontline workers, you're definitely up there on the top of my list. So mahalo for joining us today and sharing your personal stories, your touching stories. Kind of good thing I could be off the screen so I could, like, wipe my eyes a little bit. But mahalo for everyone that joined us today, and for those that also will be watching the recording later. The next webinar that we're going to have is on the fourth Friday of this month, I believe is the 22nd, and we'll actually be talking about dialysis and kidney care in the time of COVID. So for those that are interested, you will receive an email on that coming up. So just give everybody a round of applause and hugs and honis. Mahalo, everyone. Malama ke kahi ke kaki, malama pono, and we'll all keep in touch. Ahui ho, everybody.